Yes, people, I hope you are well. In today's video, we're going to talk about healing the relationship with your father and why this is super important, not only to bring you a deeper sense of peace and also bring you closer to your father, which I think a lot of sons want, but it's actually going to help you improve your performance internally and therefore externally. The first question that you might be asking when it comes to healing the relationship of your father is, why does it actually matter? So let's go into that. Where's my red pen? Why would you want to heal the relationship with your father? When you are born into this world, ideally you have a mum and a dad, a feminine role model and a masculine role model. Two, for you, your father represents authority, discipline, self-worth. Your father is your first role model to the masculine archetype and therefore can teach you and educate you on developing your own masculine psyche. If your dad wasn't around, maybe it was your uncle, maybe it was another masculine role model inside of your community, or maybe you didn't have a father, which meant you had to learn this for yourself. But it is so important that you heal the relationship with your father so that you heal the relationship with your own masculine psyche. I want you to understand this here. Whenever I mention healing the relationship with your father, which is an external thing, I'm always referring to the internal, healing the relationship with your own masculinity. Because chances are that every single human being on this planet has got a relationship with their mum and their dad that needs some sort of healing work, some sort of integration to help you become a better version of yourself. Remembering that the word healing comes from the Latin word heleen, which means return to wholeness. If you want to feel whole in your being, if you want to feel in alignment with God, if you want to be the best version of yourself, you must work on the inner game. I mean, you don't must work on it. You can choose to do whatever the fuck you want, to be honest. But in my opinion, if you work on the inner game, you will notice a massive difference in your external world, because in the quantum world, nothing is separate. In Rastafarianism, they don't say you and I, they say I and I, because they know that you and I are connected. It's I and I experiencing this life in a new, unique and authentic way. So why does it matter? Because you want to level up your own performance, right? And look, listen, if you leave it unhealed, this is what's going to happen. And this is how it can manifest if you leave it unhealed. You might fear success, fear authority. You might overcompensate with perfectionism. And when I say you, I mean I mean we. We might fear authority. If your dad was an authoritative figure, and you haven't healed that relationship, maybe that's holding you back from also being an authoritative figure at work or being in your power. For me, it has manifested as I have overcompensated with perfectionism in certain areas of my life, which has reduced my productivity is the word that I'm looking for, because I'm holding myself back through the idea that this has to be perfect. Therefore, I'm not taking the necessary action to move and create momentum that is going to help serve my community, my business, my ecosystem, whatever it is that I am trying to build. And the worst one of why it's so important that we heal the relationship with our father is this deep feeling of not enough. That's a big one. A deep feeling of not enough. I am not enough, therefore I must earn more money. I am not enough, therefore I must look better. I am not enough, so I must progress in my workplace. I am not enough because in my view of how my father perceives me is I am not enough. I must be better. I must do better. It's a wound, a deep wound that many of us experience. And if you do not heal the relationship with your father and your own masculine psyche, then you will constantly have this feeling of not enoughness, okay? And now you might be asking yourself, okay, but how does this affect my everyday performance, right? You might be asking yourself, yeah, but how does this affect my everyday performance? Now, just briefly remember that science has shown that we roughly have around 60,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of our brain is unconscious, is the subconscious working. When was the last time that you were aware of your breath? Out of the thousands and thousands of breaths that we have every single day, how many are you conscious for? When was the last time that you consciously beated your own heart? Okay, there's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes, and 5% of our brain is conscious. So that past time, that past experience that you had as a young boy or a young girl with your father has been stored in your subconscious that you now can't consciously remember unless you go back and heal it, and therefore that will change the computing power. This is my belief. One way that it may be affecting your everyday performance is that you are constantly seeking validation from outside. This is something that I still struggle with, and I'm working on as much as I can to seek validation from within rather than seeking it from without. If you have an unhealed relationship with your father, you could be seeking validation from outside of you. And if you're seeking validation from outside of you, this may look like you asking your boss, what do you think of how I'm about to tackle this problem? Which actually isn't letting you take up space and tackle the situation with how you best think. And this brings into mind the saying of ask for forgiveness, not permission. If you're seeking validation from outside, how much are you asking for permission? Asking for permission at work, which means that your productivity will be less efficient because you're constantly asking people what do they think. And it's not about that being wrong, right? It's good to ask questions and it's good to ask your boss what they think, but it's just whether is it coming from a full place, or is it coming from I'm seeking validation, I'm seeking permission to tackle this the way that I want to tackle it, right? Another way that it can show up, is in your career, fear of leadership, a fear of stepping up. Maybe you don't want to put your hand up in a meeting because the masculine part of your psyche will take leadership when it feels like it needs to step in. A feminine woman or a feminine man on a date likes the masculine partner to take leadership. When you are at work, if you are struggling to take leadership, this could be as a result of an unhealed relationship with your father and therefore your own masculine psyche. When you heal that, you heal your ability to take charge, to take leadership, which will improve your efficiency and productivity in your everyday performance. And a final one is that you have this deep feeling of misalignment. If you are a masculine man, boy, woman, and this is your nature, but you've learned to sit in your feminine, somehow your soul, your being will feel this and you'll be out of alignment. And if you're out of alignment, you're certainly not performing or enjoying your life as much as you could be. Now, how do we heal this? Okay, number one, how do we heal the relationship with our father and therefore our own masculine psyche? Number one is acknowledge and validate the feelings. Did your dad once tell you to shut up? And did your inner boy feel angry at your dad for this? Acknowledge it. Because often what follows anger is sadness. And if you don't feel the feelings of sadness, will be suppressed, and this is what depression is. It's depressing these feelings that we've all had. And you imagine that over the last 10 years accumulating. Every time you feel sadness, you just suppress it. And actually, maybe a part of you feels like your dad should have supported you more emotionally. When you heal that, and we'll go on to some other things in a bit, and how you can do that. You can feel your sadness and you can move through it, and I promise you will perform better. Suppressed emotions is a cause of in my opinion, a lot of disease in the body and a lot of wellness. Number two, how can you heal the relationship with your father is understanding his humanity. And I want you to write these questions down. Who was your dad before he was your dad? Who was your father before he became a father? Number two, where did he start and where is he at? mentally, emotionally, financially. What this is going to do is going to breed compassion for your father. And as you can breed compassion for your father, you'll also breed compassion for yourself. Remember that healing your relationship with your father is now about healing the relationship with your own masculine psyche and therefore yourself. You know that saying that if you don't heal, I don't know if this is a saying, but just roll with me here. If you don't heal or work on yourself, then you will become the exact person that you don't want to be. If you are angry at your dad because your dad was angry at you, you will be angry with your son, but you won't see that you are just repeating what your dad did to you because you haven't healed any of this stuff. So you'll just be passing it down to your son. Okay, number 3 on how you can heal the relationship with your father is doing inner child work. What needs did your dad not meet? What needs did your dad not meet? What areas in your life do you feel like your dad could have supported you better in? What do you feel like you needed to hear more from your father? For example, we may feel like we needed to hear more, I'm proud of you, I love you, right? Your son may feel like your dad could have said these words to you more. But if you go back to step 1 and understanding his humanity, did your dad ever hear these words from a masculine figure? Did your dad ever hear the words from his dad that he loves you, that you are loved, that I am proud of you? And therefore, if your dad never heard them, chances are it's very likely that your dad would find that very hard to then say to his son. So then it's about understanding what ways did he show you love? Remember, just because your needs weren't met in that moment doesn't mean there wasn't love present. It just means your subjective experience of that moment, of what you needed in that moment, wasn't met. But guess what? You can now take responsibility for meeting that for yourself. If you feel like your dad didn't say, I'm proud of you enough, what do you need to say to yourself? And what do you then get to say to your son more? But if you don't heal the relationship with your father and therefore your own masculine psyche, you won't say those words to your son because they'll be too confronting, or you won't even see that that's what your son needs to hear. Instead, you'll be playing out the same fucking patterns that your dad played out with you. And this is why I'm so passionate about healing. Number 4, right? I hope you can read that. Number 4 is writing a letter to your father unfiltered. Dear Dad, I am really fucking annoyed at you for X, Y, and Z. How could you leave me at 14 with my mother by myself? Dear Dad, I'm actually really grateful that you were hard on me at a young age because that gave me discipline. Whatever it is, let it be. Let yourself write what you need to say to your father and therefore your own masculine psyche. And what you'll do is that you will acknowledge it and validate these parts of you. It's not that, right and wrong is subjective. It's also in alignment with the law of duality, which you can't have right without having left. You can't have hot without having cold. This isn't about blame your dad. That is a victim state of being, which we don't want to be on this channel. I blame my dad for this, I blame my mum for this, which this is a healing journey, man. None of us are perfect. I've done both those things, and I've said things to my parents on this healing journey that I regret, right? So writing out an unfiltered letter just gives yourself the space to say what needs to be said and burn that shit and let it go, man. Let it go so that you can be more connected to yourself, so that you can have more authority over self, so that you can start being disciplined and start doing the things that you know that you want to do to create the life that you want to create for yourself, and also so that you feel more peaceful with yourself. That's the goal here. Anyway, this video is going on way too long. I need to speed up. Final one, 5, breath work. Breath work, breath work, breath work. Do a rebirthing breath work where you can start to go inside and feel the suppressed emotions, the anger, the sadness, the guilt, the shame. This is what the Bible refers to as sins. Feel this shit so that you can heal this shit, so that you can be more connected to God, so that you can feel more alive with life, so that you can feel more joy and more peace inside, that you can bring more joy and peace outside. Now, why would you do any of this? You probably are. If you've got this far, you might think, but why would I do any of this? Number 1 is emotional maturity. Being more connected and attuned to your emotions is a very sexy thing to the opposing sex or the opposing energy, right? A woman loves an emotionally mature man. And if you're a young man or whatever age you are, by doing this inner work, you will have maturity and not control over oneself, but you'll be more in a creative state. Number two is that it will improve your performance, because you won't be carrying around this excess baggage. Right? You won't be having this backpack on with all this unprocessed sadness and grief and anger and resentment to your father and therefore to yourself, because it's existing inside of yourself. You understand that, okay? Number two, rather than seeking validation from outside, which is a very, very inefficient and unproductive way of being, right? You will seek validation from within, and this will inspire you and center you and ground you to take the actions that you know are necessary to create the life that you want. Which leads me on to number three, which is trusting oneself more. When you heal the relationship with your father and therefore yourself, your own masculine psyche, you will trust your own leadership. You trusting your own leadership means that you will start believing in yourself and taking the actions necessary to create the life that you want to create for yourself, not creating the life that this matrix is trying to teach you to create. No, following your own fucking inner guidance system, my brother. This has been one of the most beautiful things and gifts that I've given myself through the healing journeys. I'm trusting myself more. That is a beautiful gift that we can give ourselves by healing the relationship with our father and therefore the masculine part of our psyche. Number four, this will improve your relationships because you won't be projecting this pain onto others. And number four, I think I said four twice, but this number four is my favorite, is deep inner peace with yourself, man. Feeling peaceful within yourself. What a fucking gift, bro. Feeling peaceful within yourself. Oh, more work comes onto my desk. It's cool, G. That's amazing. This actually is what I want, because I want that promotion. I feel worthy of that promotion, and more work landing on my desk isn't moving my state of being because I'm feeling peaceful. In the book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, when his business was hundreds of millions, his FBI came in to investigate his business, and inside, when he was in court, he said he felt a peace that he can't even explain. He felt grateful for it's in America, by the way, for the American Constitution. Even though he was being investigated by the FBI in court, he felt peaceful. And this is something that I'm working on, is not being reacted and entering a state of stress, but rather than being appreciative and in a state of creation because I'm feeling peaceful. If you want to grow fast over the next 30 days, then click the link below and invest in yourself in the Breakthrough Breathwork course and join our community of leveling up together. Subscribe, like this video, I appreciate you. Let's keep growing, let's keep going, and one love.